welcome back, and if you're new here, hi, my name's Sarah and I make YouTube videos. Today I am going to be showing you a makeup look that uses the new Swamp Queen palette from Tarte. I actually did a video last week swatching this, so if you haven't seen that, I will leave that in the description box. And if you have seen it, thank you for watching my videos.
I can't stop being weird, I'm sorry.
So besides the fact that I am wearing false lashes, which by the way are totally optional, you could do this look with mascara and it would be totally fine. I think this is actually quite a great everyday look. You could wear it to school, you could wear it to work, you could wear it anywhere you want to, and it's actually pretty easy to do. I didn't use any super dark colors except for when I did the sort of wing, so I think this is definitely everyday appropriate as well as beginner appropriate, because I think that when you're first starting off with makeup, using super dark colors can kind of be scary. So I kept it pretty light, and I actually used tape for the wing portion of this look, which is super easy. There's literally no way that you can mess this up. So I'm gonna quit rambling because I know some people don't really like long intros, some people like long ones, some people like short ones. I'm sure if you like short intros, you've probably already skipped past this part, and if you haven't, hi, welcome. Thank you for listening to me ramble. And I mean, I kind of like doing long intros because that means that you guys can see who I am, my personality, you can get to know me, we can be friends, and that's why we're all here, right? So we can talk about makeup and be friends. Okay, so starting off with a clean slate, as you normally do, I'm going to go ahead and prime with the Skin Primer Moisturize It from the Body Shop. Alright, so moving on to foundation, I'm going to go and use the L'Oreal True Match Lumi, which I know I use this in every video, but I only actually own two different foundations, and one of them is more mattifying and this one is more luminous. And since it is the spring summertime, I really like to have a more dewy finish, so that is the one I'm going to be using. If you guys have any foundation suggestions though, you can definitely leave that in the comments down below and I will look into those ones. Alright, so for concealer, I'll be using the NYX HD Concealer, and I am in the shade Fair. Alright, and to set the concealer, I'm just going to be taking a dry sponge and using the Cover FX blotting powder and just kind of pressing it into the skin. Alright, so to set the rest of my foundation, I'll be using the Cover FX Illuminating setting powder. Okay, so now that I have my base down, I'm going to go ahead and do my eyebrows off camera. But if you guys are interested in seeing how I do my eyebrows, I actually posted a very detailed talk through video of how I do my brows in a very affordable way about 2 weeks ago, I think. So I will leave the link to that video down below. Okay, so the brows are done and now we can move on to bronzer. Of course, I will be using Sweet Tea from the Swamp Queen palette because that is the palette I'm going to be using for the majority of this makeup look today, except for the blush. I will be using a different color for that. I did want to quickly mention though, that for those of you who have this palette but you haven't used the bronzer yet, or you're getting the palette or you're planning on getting the palette and you're curious about the pigmentation, the bronzer in this palette is extremely pigmented, which obviously is a really good thing, but it means you just have to go in very light-handed with it, or else it can get really dark really fast. Alright, so now that I look like I actually can get a tan and I'm not a ghost, we're going to move on to eyeshadow, which is obviously, I'm sure, why everybody is here. And I'm going to start off with my all over the lid base color, and that is going to be Big Baby. Alright, so for the transition shade, I'll be using Natural Peaches, and I'm just going to be applying that in the crease very lightly, as later on I'm going to darken it up. Okay, so moving on to the next shade, I will be using Sassy Bun, which is one of my favorite colors in this palette, and I'm going to be applying that all over the lid space just until the crease. Okay, so we're actually almost nearing the end of this eyeshadow look. It is actually rather simple in the sense that I'm not using that many colors. So I'm going to move on to highlighting my brow bone, my inner corner, as well as the center of the lid. And for that, I'll actually be taking the highlighter from this palette, which is Gator Wings. Alright, so before I move on to the sort of liner portion of this look, I'm just going to go back in with Natural Peaches and deepen up that crease. Okay, so moving on to what is like the main focus of this eyeshadow look, which is the winged liner. I'm not actually going to be going in with a actual eyeliner. I'm going to be taking the shade Dogman on a angled liner brush and doing the wing that way. And in order to get the really sharp look that I want, I'm going to be using tape and applying that to the outer edge of my eye so that when I go in with the shadow and then I take the tape off, it's going to be super sharp. Okay, so the eyeliner is done and I'm actually really pleased with how this turned out. I've only done this look one time before just to like practice it because I'm a professional YouTuber and I like to wing it. There's only one step left, and that is taking natural peaches and just buffing that out on the outer corner of the lower lash line and just a little bit under the wing just to make everything kind of go together. Alright, so we are almost done with the eyes. The eyeshadow portion is done, and there's only 2 steps left, and the first one is applying a white liner to the waterline. For that, I'll be using the Annabelle Kohl liner in the shade White. Alright, so to finish up the rest of the eyes before we move on to the rest of the face, I'm going to go ahead and put on some mascara and some lashes. If anyone is curious about the mascara that I use the CoverGirl Clump Crusher, and I have that in waterproof as well as the regular one, and they both work fantastically. I kind of just like don't want to buy anything else because they work so well and they're so affordable. So if you're curious, that is what I use. I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so before moving on to the rest of the face, I do want to quickly mention that I'm not a professional when it comes to putting on false lashes. So if they look like crap, trust me, I know they do. This is why I do it off of camera, because it takes me like 20 minutes just to put on a single false lash. But I'm really trying. I want to master it. If you guys have any tips, leave them down below. But for the rest of the face, we can now move on to blush. And for blush, I'm actually going to be using Luminoso from Milani. And of course for highlight, I will be using the highlight in the palette, which is Gator Wings. Okay, so last but not least is the lips, and for that I'll be taking the Colourpop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Trap. Okay, so unfortunately my camera actually just completely died on me immediately after I finished doing my lipstick, so I had to go and charge my battery. So it's about an hour later because I'm a professional YouTuber and I only have one battery. So the lighting may be a little bit different for the intro and the outro. I do apologize. So that's it for this makeup look. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if there's anything else you want to see from me, as usual, leave that in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye guys!